How good do you believe the West is at pretending? Nations like the US and France have set a new example of manipulation by pressuring Rwanda to cease its involvement in the Congo War. Suddenly, the West wants the entire world to know it cares about the Congo War. However, let's not forget how this war started and France's role. Despite the ongoing war for years, the West did not address it. However, as soon as experts began highlighting how little the West cares about Africa, statements were issued. Why are the US and France expressing sympathy? Are they planning to exploit the situation? Let's find out. The West is ordering Rwanda to end its involvement in the Congo War.
Yeah, I think to begin with, I don't think anyone is interested in tensions or conflicts or whatever crisis.
But what has recently sparked concern for African nations in the West, particularly in the US and France? Before we talk about their intentions, let's first address the matter. What is the current crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and how severe is the conflict? A multifaceted conflict of alarming proportions characterizes the current crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo. With a staggering death toll exceeding 6 million, the situation is dire and has garnered international attention. The heart of the conflict lies in the struggle for control over the nation's rich resources, drawing in more than 100 armed groups competing for dominance. At the forefront of this chaos is the M23 rebel group, which has systematically gained control over strategic regions within the DRC. The group's formidable presence and potential to destabilize the entire region highlight the severity of the conflict. The crisis takes an international turn as suspicions arise regarding Rwanda's involvement in supporting the M23 rebels. Accusations have surfaced, pointing fingers at Rwanda for either directly supporting M23 or engaging in military operations against rival factions within eastern Congo. The United Nations hinted at evidence suggesting the supply of weapons, ammunition, and uniforms to M23, further intensifying concerns. The lack of concrete evidence, however, has added a layer of complexity to the situation. This conflict is not confined to internal struggles within the DRC. It has become a matter of international concern, with key players like Rwanda involved. But who are these rebels, and how are they cranking up the heat in the DRC conflict? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. M23 is a formidable rebel group that has played a pivotal role in escalating the conflict within the Democratic Republic of Congo. This heavily armed group has steadily gained control over strategic regions, posing a significant threat to the stability of the entire nation. The origins of M23's power are closely tied to allegations of support from Rwanda, a claim that has intensified the complexity of the conflict. The rebel group's emergence as a key player in the DRC is marked by its ability to capture and control substantial territories. The international community has expressed deep concern over M23's actions, viewing them as a destabilizing force that further exacerbates the existing crisis. The conflict's escalation can be traced back to M23's actions as the group continues to challenge the authority of the DRC government and contribute to the overall insecurity in the region. The alleged support from Rwanda has added a layer of international intrigue to M23's role in the conflict. While concrete evidence remains undisclosed, the United Nations has hinted at the possibility of Rwandan involvement, including the supply of weapons, ammunition, and uniforms to the rebel group. This external support has not only fueled M23's capabilities, but has also heightened suspicions and tensions on an international scale. As accusations and denials swirl, M23's role stands out as a critical factor in the escalating crisis, demanding careful consideration in any effort to address and resolve the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. How legit are the claims that Rwanda is backing the M23 rebels? And what's Rwanda saying in response to all the finger-pointing?
Well, I don't think we need to dwell on blame game and accusations. You find one side accuses the other of something, then the other accuses the other of something. I don't think the accusations are just one way.
The evidence suggesting Rwanda's involvement in supporting the M23 rebels is primarily rooted in suspicions rather than concrete proof. In 2022, UN experts hinted at the possibility of Rwandan government forces being linked to eastern Congo, either backing M23 or engaging in military operations against rival rebel factions. While these allegations were serious, the evidence supporting these claims remained undisclosed, contributing to the situation's complexity. The United Nations report raised concerns about the supply of weapons, ammunition, and uniforms to M23, pointing toward a potential external source of support. This indirect evidence, combined with the rebel group's increasing capabilities, heightened international suspicions regarding Rwanda's role in the conflict. In response to these accusations, Rwanda vehemently denied any involvement in supporting the M23 rebels. The Rwandan government dismissed the allegations as baseless, framing them as part of a broader blame game. Rwanda's official stance has been in denial, challenging the credibility of the claims made by the United Nations and other international actors. As the international community raised concerns and issued orders demanding an immediate end to support for M23, Rwanda maintained its position, rejecting any connection to the rebel group. The Rwandan government spokesperson warned against foreign interference, cautioning France in particular about delving into the historical context of the conflict and highlighting France's colonial role in contributing to tensions in Congo. Rwanda's response, characterized by denial and pushing back against external accusations, further complicates the efforts to unravel the complexities of the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So, France and the US jumped into the ring. What moves did they make against Rwanda, and how are they throwing down in this situation? France and the United States have intervened in the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo by directly addressing the allegations of Rwanda's involvement in supporting the M23 rebels. In response to the escalating crisis, both countries took specific actions against Rwanda to curb its perceived role in the conflict. France and the United States issued orders demanding an immediate end to Rwanda's support for M23 and the withdrawal of Rwandan troops from Congo. This direct intervention underscored the seriousness with which the international community viewed the allegations against Rwanda. The French Foreign Ministry, in particular, emphasized the urgency of Rwanda halting all support for M23, accusing it not only of backing the rebels, but also of providing troops to train or join them. The accusations extended further, alleging that Rwanda was aiding rebels in the eastern region to gain control over valuable mineral reserves. By issuing direct orders, France and the United States sought to pressure Rwanda into ceasing its alleged support for M23 and taking tangible steps to de-escalate the conflict in the DRC. Rwanda's response to these interventions was denial, vehemently rejecting any involvement in supporting M23. While facing international pressure, the Rwandan government maintained its position and warned against foreign interference, particularly questioning France's historical role in contributing to tensions in Congo. The actions taken by France and the United States, coupled with Rwanda's steadfast denial, added diplomatic tension to the already complex web of accusations and counteractions surrounding the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. How does the US feel about Rwanda supposedly backing M23? And what is Rwanda saying about Uncle Sam's criticisms? The United States has taken a firm stance regarding Rwanda's alleged support for M23, condemning the country's involvement in the conflict within the Democratic Republic of Congo. In response to the accusations, the US government urged Rwanda to immediately cease hostilities and withdraw its military personnel from the DRC. The United States' condemnation reflects its concern over the destabilizing impact of Rwanda's alleged support for the M23 rebels. However, Rwanda responded to US criticisms with skepticism and pushback. The Rwandan government questioned the credibility of the US statement, citing a lack of internal coordination within the US government. Rwanda suggested that the US might not be a credible mediator in the region, raising doubts about the legitimacy of the accusations against it. The friction between the United States and Rwanda added a diplomatic dimension to the crisis. Rwanda's dismissal of US criticisms and questioning the US government's ability to act as a credible mediator further complicated the efforts to address the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. In response to the accusations against Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo took a strong stance, issuing threats and expressing its dissatisfaction with the alleged support provided by Rwanda to the M23 rebels. The DRC threatened to invade Rwanda, accusing it of backing the M23 rebels and contributing to the instability within the country. This threat highlighted the gravity of the situation and the deep-seated tensions between the two nations. The DRC's threat to invade Rwanda further escalated the conflict, signaling a willingness to take direct military action against the alleged perpetrator of the support for M23. This aggressive stance reflected the DRC's frustration with the ongoing crisis and its perception of external interference, adding another layer of complexity to the already tense regional dynamics. In response to the accusations and threats, Rwanda adjusted its defense stance, implementing measures to ensure comprehensive air defense of its territory. This defensive move demonstrated Rwanda's preparedness to protect its borders and sovereignty in the face of heightened tensions and the potential for military intervention from the DRC. The conflict's course, drawn by accusations, threats, and military posturing, showcased the delicate balance of power in the region and the complex interplay of historical, political, and economic factors. The threats exchanged between the DRC and Rwanda highlighted the volatility of the situation and the urgent need for diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions and find a resolution to the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And what measures has Rwanda taken to defend itself against potential threats, and what arguments does it put forth in its defense? In response to the accusations and threats stemming from the conflict, Rwanda has taken measures to defend itself against potential threats, particularly in the context of the DRC's warning of invasion. Rwanda implemented defensive measures to ensure comprehensive air defense of its territory, signaling its readiness to protect its borders and sovereignty in the face of heightened tensions. Rwanda's defense strategy reflects its commitment to safeguarding national interests and territorial integrity. The implementation of comprehensive air defense measures underscores the seriousness with which Rwanda views the potential threats emanating from the accusations leveled against it in connection to the M23 rebels. In its defense, Rwanda argues that the responsibility for addressing the conflict lies primarily with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwanda contends that the DRC collaborates with militias linked to the 1994 genocide and asserts that Congo should take the lead in resolving the crisis. Additionally, Rwanda warns against foreign interference, cautioning nations like France not to meddle in the historical context of the conflict and reminding them of their colonial role in contributing to tensions in Congo. Rwanda's defense is characterized by rejecting the accusations, a commitment to protecting its sovereignty, and a demand for the DRC to address the conflict internally. This stance complicates the diplomatic efforts needed to navigate the crisis, as both nations maintain their positions amidst the accusations, threats, and broader international pressures. But why is the historical context always given? As Rwanda's government spokesperson mentioned, how does the historical context of the conflict come into play? The historical context of the conflict plays a significant role, as highlighted by Rwanda's government spokesperson in response to the accusations and interventions. The spokesperson, in defending Rwanda against the allegations of supporting the M23 rebels, warned against foreign interference, particularly singling out France and emphasizing the need to consider the historical context of the conflict. Rwanda's government spokesperson pointed to France's colonial role in causing and escalating tensions in Congo. By referencing historical factors, Rwanda aims to contextualize the conflict within a broader narrative of colonial legacies and external influences that have shaped the political and social landscape of the region. This argument suggests that the roots of the conflict extend beyond the current allegations and involve a complex interplay of historical, political, and economic factors. By bringing the historical context into the conversation, Rwanda seeks to deflect blame and draw attention to a broader understanding of the forces at play in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This approach complicates the narrative surrounding the conflict, highlighting the need for a fine analysis that considers the enduring impact of historical events on the current geopolitical dynamics in the region. But what is the solution? And who has the solution? How does the international community play a role in addressing the conflict in the DRC? The international community plays a crucial role in addressing the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo, particularly in the context of accusations against Rwanda and the involvement of the M23 rebels. The international community's approach is multifaceted, combining diplomatic efforts, interventions, and calls for de-escalation to find a resolution to the complex crisis. France and the United States, as prominent members of the international community, have issued direct orders to Rwanda, demanding an immediate end to its support for the M23 rebels and the withdrawal of Rwandan troops from the DRC. This demonstrates a proactive stance aimed at curbing external involvement, perceived as contributing to the conflict. The international community's approach also involves condemnation of actions that escalate the crisis, such as accusations of supporting rebel groups and threats of invasion. The emphasis is on fostering diplomatic resolution. To prevent further escalation and loss of lives, diplomatic channels are utilized to address the allegations, urging transparency, cooperation, and accountability among the involved parties. Given the complexities of the conflict, the international community recognizes the need for a nuanced understanding of historical, political, and economic factors. Diplomatic efforts are directed toward encouraging dialogue between the conflicting parties, seeking a comprehensive and sustainable resolution that addresses the root causes of the crisis. In dealing with the accusations, threats, and historical complexities, the international community aims to foster a diplomatic resolution that ensures stability in the Democratic Republic of Congo and the broader region. This collaborative approach emphasizes nations' shared responsibility in promoting peace and addressing the underlying factors contributing to the protracted conflict in the DRC. The question everyone should ask here is, what could go down if this conflict keeps getting worse? The escalating conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo carries potential consequences that extend beyond the borders of the nation, underscoring the urgency for the international community to navigate this crisis with utmost care. Continued escalation of the conflict poses a severe humanitarian risk, with the potential for increased displacement, loss of lives, and widespread suffering among the civilian population. The DRC has faced significant challenges in providing essential services, and an intensified conflict exacerbates the precarious humanitarian situation. The conflict has the potential to spill over into neighboring countries, contributing to regional destabilization. Tensions between nations, such as the accusations against Rwanda, can strain diplomatic relations and escalate into broader regional conflicts, impacting the stability of Central Africa. The DRC is rich in valuable natural resources, and the conflict further facilitates armed groups' exploitation of these resources. This not only perpetuates the cycle of violence, but also fuels economic instability and illicit trade, contributing to the region's challenges. Escalation may lead to a significant refugee crisis as people flee violence and insecurity. This strains neighboring countries, potentially leading to humanitarian emergencies and further complicating regional stability. The accusations and counteractions between nations, such as Rwanda, France, and the United States, can strain diplomatic relations. Mismanagement of the crisis may hinder international cooperation on broader issues and exacerbate geopolitical tensions. But why are France and the US so concerned? The escalated concern emanating from both France and the United States regarding the Congo conflict is deeply rooted in geopolitical dynamics, historical considerations, and a growing global narrative surrounding the Western response, or lack thereof, to the ongoing crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Firstly, the heightened concern can be traced back to a prevailing sentiment within the international community and humanitarian circles that the Western world, particularly influential nations like France and the United States, has not been sufficiently engaged in resolving the protracted conflict in the DRC. This sentiment gained significant traction, prompting discussions and criticisms about the West's apparent indifference to the severe humanitarian crisis unfolding in the region. The discourse reached a point where the West's role became a subject of global attention and debate. Moreover, the historical ties between France and certain African nations, including the DRC, contributed to the complexity of their engagement. Historical factors, such as colonial legacies, have shaped the relationship between Western powers and African nations, influencing perceptions and responses to conflicts on the continent. France, in particular, holds a historical responsibility in the region, and the Congo conflict is viewed through this intricate historical context. Because of the global discussions and criticism, France and the United States sought to rectify or at least address the perception of Western indifference by taking a more visible and proactive stance. Their involvement serves not only as a response to the immediate crisis, but also as a strategic move to assert their commitment to addressing global humanitarian issues. While France and the United States project an image of goodwill in addressing the Congo conflict, skepticism arises about the sincerity of their intentions. Experts argue their engagement may be more about diplomatic posturing than a genuine commitment to resolving the crisis. Historical ties, marked by colonial legacies and economic interests, fuel doubts about the authenticity of their newfound interest in the DRC. Critics contend that their actions might serve broader geopolitical and strategic objectives, raising questions about the true impact of their involvement. Despite public proclamations, the effectiveness of their interventions and tangible positive outcomes in the Congo will be the ultimate measure of the authenticity of their commitment. Do you think the West cares about Africa? If not, what are they trying to prove? Do you believe they can ever change? Let us know in the comment section why the West might be showing it cares about Africa. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.